right now, but the biggest story going on in the world is Russia and Ukraine, like the war. You know, Russia's amassed 120,000 troops near the Ukraine border. Keep in mind, on Russia's side, they haven't crossed the border. They're doing military exercises on Russia's own property. But the State Department is saying, oh, this attack from Russia on Ukraine is imminent. I mean, it's going to happen. And Biden actually yesterday said he believed it was going to happen before the end of the Olympics. So this is obviously very serious. And so why is Russia amassing troops near the Ukraine border? It's like, what's going on? So guys, I'm going to make this really simple. So even you don't have to be in politics or follow world events to like understand this and understand the hypocrisy going on. So in 1990, George Bush I and Secretary of State James Baker made a promise to Gorbachev and Russia, because it was after the unification of Germany. East and West Germany came together and said Germany is going to be part of NATO, part of the West. And Russia, remove your 300,000 troops back to Russia. In exchange, NATO will not move forward at all. NATO will stay as it is. And George Bush was actually quoted saying, not 1 inch forward. Since then, 14 additional countries have gained NATO membership. And recently, Ukraine and Georgia were promised NATO membership, which is causing all the problems. So Ukraine, if you don't have an idea where Ukraine is, it's here's Russia. This is this is my kids' markers and stuff. So give me some leeway. So this is Western Russia. Here's Ukraine. It used to be part of Russia. It's right there. Now all these stars represent NATO bases, military bases surrounding Russia. These are bases. There's a couple dozen bases right here surround Russia. Now NATO wants to expand to here, to Ukraine. Look where Russia is. It's right at Ukraine's border. These bases already are kilometers, a few miles away from Russia. And these, not only do these contain conventional weapons, some of these bases have nuclear weapons right there, a few miles away from Russia. In 1962, when Russia tried to put nuclear weapons in Cuba, put a base in Cuba, the U.S. blockaded it, said, nope, we're on the brink of war, and we're willing to go to war over it, over one base in Cuba. Look at the bases that NATO has, the United States has right here surrounding Russia, and now they want to expand to Ukraine. So this is a problem. So Russia's amassed on its own side some forces and saying, hey, not one step forward, no more. So that's what's going on right now. You don't have to be into politics or understand like international relations, all that, to understand the hypocrisy. Russia is just supposed to sit back and allow NATO to continue to expand, to build bases on its border. In fact, former republics of Russia on its border. After in 2014, Russia helped Ukraine, instituted a coup, and now there's a U.S.-backed president of Ukraine, and now they want to be part of the West. And Russia's supposed to sit back and allow all these bases to be built around it and just do nothing. And there's a very false narrative, because the United States and NATO is saying, oh, what does Putin want? He's crazy. What does Russia want? We don't know what's going on. Why is he massing these troops? This is false, because Putin has made it very clear. He said, one, NATO will not expand any further, and that includes Georgia and Ukraine, the two former USSR republics. They will not be part of NATO. And second and third, all the nuclear bases that are right on the border of Russia are to be dismantled. Putin's not asking for the pre-1990 NATO and withdrawing the membership from the countries, the 14 added-on countries since then. He's just wanting, look, take the nuclear weapons right away from our border, and you can't go to Georgia and you can't go to Ukraine, our former republics that are right on our border, and put in NATO bases, nuclear bases, and weapons right on our border. That's all he's saying. And the United States is acting like, oh, no, Russia wants a war. Russia does not want a war. Russia wants to protect itself. The last time the West promised Russia that it had no aggression was in 1939, when Germany promised the non-aggression pact, and then invaded 2 years later, and Russia lost 27 million people. So I can understand Russia's concern about having